The Conjuring movie franchise started with the Perron family haunting. If you've seen the movie, you are about to witness the real story of this family of 7, which is actually a lot scarier than what they showed you on screen. It's tragic when you can't protect your family from the unknown entities. And this is what made the Perrons so famous that they even got a whole movie based on their experiences. The terror this family faced right in their own home is enough to send shivers down any spine. So, are you ready to really get to know the full-length story? Let's begin. Meet the Parin family, Roger and Carolyn, along with their 5 daughters, Andrea, Nancy, Christine, Cindy, and April. In 1971, they moved into a charming 18th century farmhouse in Harrisville, Rhode Island, with a huge open space outside. The house has 14 rooms, which is enough to raise a large family like the Perrons. Seeking a peaceful retreat from city life, they were drawn to the rustic allure of the countryside. And who wouldn't? I mean, the place looks beautiful and peaceful. But was it? Those who have watched the 2013 Conjuring movie know that this farmhouse was anything but peaceful. As they settled into their new home, strange occurrences began to happen almost immediately. It started with just small things, like the mother Carolyn would notice things missing from their place. For example, once she found that the broom wasn't in its place. The family would also hear unexplainable sounds. I know we all have heard those sounds in the quiet of homes, but it's just our minds playing tricks on our brains. Here at the Parin family house, it wasn't normal. Carolyn would hear something scratching against the kettle in their kitchen, and when she went to look, there wasn't anyone there. How would you feel if you someday found collected dirt on a recently cleaned floor? Spooked out? Well, Carolyn experienced the same in real life. She found piles of dirt in the center of her clean kitchen floor, and the girls weren't pranking their mother. The unusual things started small, but soon, creepier and more sinister things started to appear in their lives. The girls started to feel the presence of unseen entities. Some of them were said to have tucked them in bed at night. Now that's scary. The energy in the house wasn't normal, and the family would notice spirits, but for the most part, they were harmless. I mean that they weren't exactly hurting the Perrons in any way. Until Carolyn was the mother, so naturally she was the caretaker or the mistress of the household. Her position was, unfortunately, a bone of contention for a very grim spirit that was present in the house. But why? I will tell you the reason later in the video, so stay with me. Carolyn started researching about her old house. Upon investigation, she found that this place had always been in the ownership of a particular family for 8 generations, and they had their fair share of tragedies. Many of them met their end in mysterious ways. Some were even horrible. Some children drowned in the nearby creek, and one got murdered. A few of them even hanged themselves in the attic. Having a disturbed past definitely played a vital role in whatever the Parin family was experiencing in the present. The house had not one but several spirits, and one in particular was the most angry one. Her name was Bathsheba. Who was this woman, and why was her spirit lingering on the Parin family? Born in 1812, Bathsheba Sherman lived in Harrisville, Rhode Island during the 19th century. According to historical records, Bathsheba was accused of practicing witchcraft and was rumored to have been involved in the death of an infant. That infant is supposedly her own child, which she sacrificed to please Satan. Bathsheba married Judson Sherman in 1844. While her husband was a farmer, Bathsheba took on the role of a housewife. Their wealth afforded them comfort, and they welcomed a son, Herbert L. Sherman, in March 1849. Despite this, tragedy struck their family, as their 3 other children did not survive past the age of 7. But at that time, it was common for children to die at a young age. Legend surrounds Bathsheba, stemming from suspicions after an infant in her care died from a mortal wound caused by a sewing needle. And like I said, many believe it was one of her own. The court, however, found no evidence against her and freed her of any charges. But who can convince the public? The townsfolk remained skeptical, believing her to be a witch. Bathsheba passed away in 1885 after her husband's death in 1881. Did you know that some people believe her body turned into stone after her death, and that she suffered some kind of bizarre paralysis that eventually took her life? Whatever you want to believe. Now the question is, how did the Perron family realize that it's the spirit of Bathsheba that's haunting them all these years later? Let me tell you. We all know the famous paranormal investigators Ed and Lorraine Warren, thanks to the Conjuring movies. Carolyn Perron recounted a chilling incident to the Warrens that occurred with her a few years after living in the house. That's right, folks. Spoiler alert. The Perrons lived in the haunted house for 10 years, and the paranormal activities occurred over the course of all this time. This is in sharp contrast to the movie, where everything was happening at a rapid pace. Now, Carolyn described lying on the sofa when she suddenly felt a sharp, piercing pain in her calf, followed by muscle spasms. To her horror, she found a pool of blood where the pain originated. Despite a thorough examination, she found no culprit for the puncture, leaving her terrified. Andrea Perron, one of the daughters, detailed the unsettling event in her 3 self-published books about the hauntings of their house, describing the mark on her mother's calf as a perfectly concentric circle, much like a large sewing needle puncturing her skin. Bathsheba probably found Carolyn in direct competition with her as the mistress of the house, and that's why she attacked her. Now, do you see the connection here? Remember when people suspected Bathsheba of killing the infant with a knitting needle? Lorraine Warren said that Bathsheba would have taken the knitting needle to her afterlife and used it to stab Carolyn in the calf. At this discovery, the demonic presence in the house was referred to as Bathsheba. Now you know her story. This wasn't the only crazy encounter the Perrons had at that house. There was often a stinky smell of rotten meat around the house, hinting at a ghostly and demonic presence. Sometimes, their beds would even levitate at 5:15 in the mornings. I wouldn't stay a minute in the house if that happened to me. But it's not easy to leave your own home and decide to shift immediately. Like many people, the Perrons were also facing financial difficulties. And no matter how good your friends and family are, they can't keep a family of 7 for too long in their homes, right? So, they kept living in the hope that it would all go away. They would stay away from some places in the house with the most activity, like they would avoid the dirt-floored cellar of their farmhouse, knowing it to be a hotspot for supernatural activity. However, there were occasions when necessity forced them to do the bidding. Whenever the house's heating equipment malfunctioned, Roger Perron would brave the cellar's chilling atmosphere to make repairs. Every time he went there, he would feel a clear and icy presence beside him. Despite his best efforts to focus on the task at hand, Roger couldn't shake the feeling of being watched by something unseen, something ancient and evil. The matters went out of hand when, one time, Carolyn got possessed temporarily. The Warrens tried their best to help the family out, but Lorraine insisted that an exorcism must only be done by a Catholic priest, and she wouldn't try to do it. Andrea Perron describes that she saw that with her own eyes. She said her mother started speaking a language she didn't know. It sounded like a totally otherworldly tongue, and on top of that, her voice wasn't hers while she spoke. The chair on which she sat lifted on its own and was thrown across the room. The Perrons weren't the only ones who experienced paranormal activity on the property. According to Andrea Perron, the chilling presence within the house extended its icy grip to everyone who tried to live there. Some were driven out of the house screaming, fleeing the house in a total frenzy without even collecting their stuff. After the Parin family sold the property, a man who was there to repair and fix things fled the premises, leaving behind his belongings, his car, and even his tools, and never came back. So, who owns the property right now? Yes, folks, that house is still standing, and Norma Sutcliffe owns it. She, along with her husband Gary, offered a contrasting perspective on the haunting of the farmhouse. They have only experienced far lesser intensity compared to the Perron's family encounters. These include doors banging in the front hall, voices coming from other rooms, and the eerie sensation of footsteps accompanied by the opening of doors in distant parts of the house. The only things that were ever visible to them were a blue light that Norma saw shoot across the bedroom, and her husband once thought he saw a fog in their home. All in all, Norma has a commitment to a scientific viewpoint and refrains from jumping to conclusions about the paranormal nature of anything they have experienced. When the movie was released, Norma found herself flooded with people coming to get a look at the famous haunted farmhouse. She even dedicated months to gathering evidence to challenge Andrea Perron's narrative and disprove the movie's portrayal of their home's haunting. So what do you think? Is this house really haunted, or is it only a make-believe horror story like so many others? Tell me in the comments. Hit like if you want to see more such videos on this channel, and check out this video shown on the screen by clicking on the thumbnail. I'll see you there. Thanks for watching.